Hi, so my name is Andriy. I'm co-founder at Allbridge. Here is also my co-founder Yuri, who is an acting CTO. So in case you ask me too many technical questions, I will probably ask him for his help. But because he was speaking last year here at Meridian, well, not here in Madrid, but in Rome, he said that this year I need to take the hit. So here I am. Today I will speak what we have done so far at Allbridge, why we were doing that, what technical issues we had, which we overcame, what we can improve in the future. And in the end, I will show you the short demo. I think it's like between 2 or 3 minutes, how it works today, in case you haven't seen it before. So why bridges are important? Bridges are important because we want to bring more liquidity to Stellar from the other chains. And bridges, they do it in a proper decentralized way, avoiding centralized exchanges. How we ended up thinking about this concept and why we became one of those major bridge providers that connect Stellar with other chains. Last year, we saw an announcement on Twitter that Stellar is actually calling for bridges. And there has been a program that said, hey, if you have experience, please come, join us, and build it. So we were selected as one of the 5 bridge providers, and we started building. And it was pretty interesting integration from the technical perspective, and I will explain why. So because we didn't have Soroban last year, and now we also don't have it on mainnet, that means that we don't really have smart contracts on Stellar. And for bridge functionality, we need a smart contract to be able to validate the signatures of the users who are transferring to Stellar. So how did we do this integration? I think it is quite a rare case, but it's also an interesting case because we, in order to make funds flowing, for example, from Ethereum to Stellar, we used another blockchain. We decided to use Near as an intermediate blockchain just for the purpose of validating the user signatures and to avoid double spending and to make the whole process work. I know it sounds weird that another blockchain is being used in the process, but it actually enabled the whole thing to work. So I thought that it is interesting just to mention it. Another important part of our integration, it was our partnership with Ultrastellar. So in order to make the bridging process decentralized, we didn't want to rely on just our validators. So what we did, we combined our efforts together with Ultrastellar, and they also became the vital part of the bridging process, helping us signing the transactions as a multisig, decentralizing the whole flow. We also did integration and collaborated with the Lobster wallet to make it all work smoothly on mobile. What we can do in future to improve the user experience? As you see, today the bridging process, it is what we call the traditional mint and burn bridge. So that means that the asset becomes locked on one chain, and then the bridge sort of creates an IOU on the destination chain, in this case Stellar. But the problem with that is that the nature of such process is that each and every bridge creates its own version of the asset. And that leads to what we call the fragmentation of liquidity problem. So USDC brought to Stellar by Allbridge and USDC that has been brought to Stellar by, for example, Axelar, it would be different USDCs. And then we have the native USDC, which is also a different one, but I will speak more about that later. So what we are aiming to do right now is by utilizing the technology that Soroban gives us access to, we want to redesign the whole bridging process. So this is what we are working on right now. This is what we call our product Allbridge Core. And this is what we are actively working on right now to integrate with Stellar. So the product is already operational. How we structured it is that we were focusing on specifically stable coins and specifically native stable coins. So we completely dropped the idea of issuing our own version of the wrapped assets. And instead, we created liquidity pools and we enabled one-to-one swaps between those pools. If you're familiar with Curve Finance, probably the easiest way to understand what we are doing here is making Curve Finance cross-chain. So on Curve, you can change USDT to USDC in a decentralized manner. And what we want to do here is that, let's say, some of the users out there in the world, for some reason, I don't know why, but they really like to use USDT on Tron. And we want to make this liquidity be able to flow to Stellar. So let's say the user connects his wallet on Tron with USDT there, and we're swapping this USDT to USDC on Stellar. So this is the integration that we are actively working on right now. Hopefully we will be able to deploy it shortly after Soroban goes live on mainnet. And we try to simplify the whole user experience. So here, all the assets are native. All the assets, all the transfers are performed in a single click, which is also much better for the user experience. Because in the demo that I will show you shortly, you will see that right now the traditional bridging architecture, it requires a lot of actions from the user. So connecting with one wallet, doing the bridging process, signing the transaction, having gas on both chains, then receiving the transaction, which is okay, users do that. But we think that in order to bring more users into ecosystem, we need to provide them this one-click experience. So they don't need to think about all the complexity. They don't need to think about the wrapped assets. They just come in, join, click one button, and boom, they've got USDC on Stellar, the native one. We're also, by the way, working on right now on integration with Circle cross-chain transfer protocol to make it even better in terms of the slippage and in terms of the amount that the users actually receives. So basically what we are saying here, so we've got our layer of messaging, and then the users, if they would be doing USDC to USDC transfers, they would be able to select here CCTP. And in case users want to transfer another assets, let's say BUSD, which probably would be discontinued by the end of the year from BNB chain to Stellar, they would use our messaging. But at the same time, it all would be in the same interface. It would be very, easy for user. You can actually go onto our website right now to see how it's already working. It's already live, but we are still waiting for Soroban launch to make it possible to do on Stellar. This is the slide about Soroban, but I think that I mentioned a lot of this stuff earlier on, that we will be using the smart contracts to validate the user's signatures and to make sure that the bridge flow is there. And we don't need another blockchain as an intermediate, which I think it is working quite well for now, but it still feels for me personally a little bit weird. And here is the demo. Will it start automatically or I need to click anything? Ah, yeah. So this is how it works today. So you see, you can select the chain from which you want to bridge, and we're bridging to Stellar. You can select the assets. So for example, in this integration supported, it is Sol and USDC from Solana. You choose the amount, you put in the address, you sign the transaction. It will take some time, but hopefully not too much. With signing from Ethereum, it can sometimes take more. We usually try to make it within 1 minute, but here just for this demo, we skip the process a little bit. And then the next step here, it is the receiving the transaction. And you need to do one more signature to receive it. And this part will be much easier in our next version of the product, in the Allbridge core that I've been speaking about, because we will finalize the transaction for user. We can even, what we did so far is not only helping people to finalize the transaction for them, even without the gas on the destination chain, but we also worked on the possibility when the user can get extra gas, just not only for the transaction finalization, but for further operations. And last but not least, our recent update enabled the users the possibility to not even have the gas at all but basically deduct from the stable coins they are sending the part that is necessary to pay the gas fees, and we do all the magic, under the hood. So this is what I wanted to talk today. If you are looking for integrations, I would be more than happy to support and speak. We've got nice documentation, we've got API, SDK, everything working, and I'm here for the 3 days of the conference. You can find me, follow our news, and yeah, thank you so much for inviting. Real pleasure being here today.